It's Teens World. Raised by teenage parents. Lee Da Vinci, London Savoy, Nini on the beat. Single parent, different household, raising little old me. What did I do to deserve all this pain, this hurt, and this misery? Different houses every weekend. Is it going to be auntie, grandma? It seems like the blame is all on me. Mama got a new boyfriend, so there's no time for me. Daddy playing the Goodman League, so he forgot all about me. See, this is the story of a little child's story. Mama a teenager, daddy 21. He's still gambling every night, betting our future on blackjack 21. 15 aunties all under the age of 21. Mama doesn't even have a driver's license, she has to catch the bus one by one. The older I get, the more I seem to understand. Mom and dad are not together. The relationship just not could withstand. Raised by teenage parents. D&D meeting. Start the show.
Being the product of a teenage pregnancy, my mother being 15, my father being 17, growing up, it was kind of bittersweet. I enjoyed a lot of time with my mother, the time that she did have, but most of the time she was in school. I was with my grandmother. I just remember the times when my mother used to do stuff like steal my grandmother's car. No license. Like, you had a baby in it. What you doing stealing that car? Just going to the go-go. What they used to do back then? The Outbacks? Like,
yes.
You stealing cars. You stealing your mother's car to go to the go-go. Like, you got a whole baby in the house. What are you doing, lady?
Oh, shoot. My mother had me when she was 26. She had my brother when she was 16 now. So she used to ship me off to camp every summer. That's where I grew up. So y'all had grandmothers raising y'all, I had the camp raising me.
And then you grew up and started working there.
Yep, started working there. I own the camp review.
Well, we made our own camp at school. I mean, you know, when I was at my aunt's house.
Oh,
I was always the only girl. We used to do so much stuff, man. We used to get in trouble by the time my aunt came home from work.
What's going on, young world? This is your boy DuaneMyko, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Teens World. Today, we're going to have a very important conversation. According to the numbers, over 700,000 teens between the ages of 15 and 19 become pregnant every single year. Today, I sit down with a very good friend of mine, Miss Nicole.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm great.
Great. Well, we're going to talk about something very, very important, being raised by teenage parents. So let's just jump right into it. Tell me about your story. Tell me about like how it all started. How old was your mom when she had you?
My mom became pregnant with me when she was 15. My father was 17. She was still in high school, of course. I was born in '84. She actually didn't get out of high school till '86. So these are, you know, the most important years, especially if you're going to move on to college, whether you have a child or not. Those are two of the most important years in high school. And here she is with the newborn baby.
Did she go to prom?
Did my mother go to prom? I actually don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember ever seeing any prom pictures or anything like that, but I'm not sure.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So did the older you get, when I would assume when you were, you know, maybe in 3rd, 4th grade, did you ever feel like embarrassed, like having your mom being like one of the younger moms that came up to the school rather than like the older moms who we, you know what I'm saying, sometimes see coming up there to, whether it be a parent-teacher conference or come up there for the school? Like, did you ever have any resentment towards your mother because of the age she had you?
To be honest, I didn't think about it. It was my mother. To me, she was old. I mean, even though she wasn't, but anybody that was, you know, older than me was old.
Right.
It really didn't, like, become a thought until I got to high school. Like, one of my best friends, her father and her mother at the time were like 50 and 60. And I'm just like, whoa. My mother's just scraping 30. So, like, I didn't really think about it.
Right.
So.
Well, I know so often we always hear, especially in today's society, like you always hear about parents and children being friends. So I want to ask that question. Was it like that in your household because your mom was younger? Was it more of a friendship than less than a parenting situation?
Honestly, sometimes it went both ways. The friendship part really didn't come into play until I got older. But my mother, she's a mentor. She's always been involved with my school, and she used to be a substitute teacher in my school.
So mom wasn't playing around.
So yeah, like academics and stuff like that, never really played with. But I always did what I was supposed to do. So when it came to anything extracurricular, I really didn't have anything stopping me because I did what I was supposed to do as far as school went.
So how was your household structure? Because it seems like there was a lot of structure in place. Like you weren't a bad child. You weren't one that was out here running, all over these streets doing all types of bad stuff. So was grandma in the household? Like who helped raise you? Because I know often we hear so many times that it takes a village to actually raise this family. Was it like that in your situation?
And you actually took the words right out of my mouth. For my mother's mother, my grandmother, she was the youngest of 7. For her father, she was the oldest of 7. So just my family alone was big. So she basically already had the support she needed, where I would say my father lacked his side of responsibility as far as raising me. So it definitely took a village. I always was in a household with my grandmother.
Okay, so grandma played a huge figure in the life.
Huge. I mean, from weekends, basically, I was with my grandmother. Whether it was Saturdays, going to choir rehearsal or usher board practice, I was in church every Sunday. Like, grandmother, very instrumental.
Grandma was on it.
Very much so.
So the effects of a teenage, child. Tell me something good and tell me something bad. If you could just name like one thing that like growing up you would say, this was something that it was fun and this was something I could tell was just a little bit of a struggle.
Can you kind of elaborate? You said the effects of a teenage child.
Right. So you being
So me as a teenager or?
Exactly. How was it, growing up?
I was pretty much very much involved and active, and as far as we don't really see it nowadays, social media is like so prominent when it comes to these teenagers, but we had a lot of stuff like Boys and Girls Club, after school activities. So as a teenager, making my credentials and, trying to build up my little resume for college, I was involved in a lot.
Okay.
So
listen,
for me, it wasn't bad.
We're going to take a quick break really quick. I'm going to bring on someone very special. We're going to bring on Mrs. Jones. She is a life skills counselor. And I want to give her her intake and hear what she has to say about growing up with a teenage parent.
Okay.
That sounds excellent. Let's do it.
Once my father went to jail, it pretty much was just me, my mother, and my grandmother. That was it. As I got older, it kind of became all right because I still had a young, hip, cool mom, but it was like she was more so my friend than my parent. Discipline, my grandmother did it if need be. My mother would too at times, but I pretty much was a good child, so really didn't have too much to worry about. The best part of being a product of a teenage pregnancy is, for me, it motivated me to not want to have kids at an early age, be established, actually be married, have a family, not to have to take that burden and put on somebody else. The worst thing with other people I've saw, they kind of fall victim and it just repeats the cycle. They do the same thing. They have kids younger and, at the time, especially when I got to college age, you want to go out and party, have fun with your friends, what you should be doing, and you can't because your friends have kids. So that was probably the worst part. As far as my mother, when she finally finished high school, she went to UDC where she pledged Delta. She cheered, she swam, and I was pretty much a part of that. So when I got to college myself, I didn't feel the need to do certain things like pledge.
What's going on, young world? This is your boy DuaneMyko, and we're back. As you guys see, I've added someone to the set. I brought a very close friend of mine to the set today, Mrs. Danita Jones, who is a life skills counselor at a boarding school in Washington, D.C. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, and yourself?
Wonderful. So the reason why I brought you on the set today, because I want you to give us your insight on what are some of the effects you see from teenage pregnancy. Tell us about some of the things that you see at the Seed School.
Okay. Well, Dwayne, there's definitely a cycle of teenage pregnancy that you have to break. I've seen students be depressed. I've seen students drop out of school. I've seen students go to college. You know, they get to the next level, but then they feel like they don't have any support from their parents. So I have to be the push to get them through the finish line. But they're depressed. Their parents are affected. Everyone's affected. Administrators, staff, teachers, everyone.
So let me ask you this. What is the difference you see between dealing with older parents and younger parents? So let's say, you know, whether it be a parent-teacher conference, you know what I'm saying, or there be some issue at the school. Do you see a big difference between younger parents and older parents?
I absolutely do. We're lacking in that area as far as parental engagement. The younger parents aren't showing up. They have things to do. They have other obligations as far as like hanging out with their girlfriends and things like that, where as though the other parents, the older parents, I should say, they want to support their child. You know, they're doing whatever they can to get to those parent-teacher conferences, those recitals, whatever it is that their child's involved in, they're giving them more advice versus the younger parents, they want to be their friend.
Nicole, did you experience stuff like that? I know we were talking earlier, but your mom was pretty active though, right? She was involved in the...
She was on my heels.
Yeah.
She was on my heels. I guess her biggest thing was she just didn't want me to do the same thing she did. So she was on my heels.
So she was very big about, we're going to end this cycle.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to go through the same thing that...
Like me getting pregnant at 15
Right.
was not an option. It was not.
That just wasn't going to happen
It was
whatsoever.
not. It was not.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. So as a life skills coach, you know, you said that you do see the effects of the kids. Can you give us like one example in particular, one story? I know we were talking offset. You were talking about, and I'm not gonna put the name out there, other child, but someone who just didn't finish high school, like they didn't want to continue. Talk about that just a little bit.
Well, that particular student, of course, I'm their mentor. That's the part of being a life skills counselor. You're their mentor. You know, you're like the parent away from home. When that student dropped out of school, you have to automatically set up a plan for that student. It's very hard and very difficult when they're going to the depression phase, whereas though they don't want to go to school. They don't want to do anything. All they want to do is go to sleep because now they feel like I'm a product of my environment. So it's very hard to break that part of the cycle. However, if you just keep giving them positive praise, positive affirmations, like you can do it, let's do it together, you know, and once they feel like they have your support, they're more inclined to do better.
Okay, so here's a question for all of us on here. A young teenager gets pregnant, 15 years old. What do we tell them? How do you feel? What's your advice for them? I want to know everyone's answer. I know how I would feel, but I want to let you guys go first. Nicole?
Honestly, I would only be able to tell them what I basically just told you, because there's only certain things that you can give advice on, especially if you haven't been there. So being though, even now at 32, I don't have any kids. So I can't tell a 15-year-old whether or not they have to sit down and make a decision as to, okay, what is my future going to look like? Should I keep this baby? Should I get an abortion? Because if that was the case, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
So I honestly would not know what to tell them. I would point them in the direction of somebody that
could help them out.
Yes.
Ms. Jones, what do you think?
I have some good advice. I would definitely advise that student to get their support system. Identify who are those key players that are in your corner that will help you get through the finish line, because that's important, you know. And they have to find that that inner strength, you know, have that courage to keep on going, you know, and to set a plan.
Right.
So that's the advice that I would get, to create a plan.
You know, my advice may be a lot much more harsh, to be honest. I believe in, and, you know, my mother always told me, and I grew up in a Duke family household until I was 16 years old, but my mom always taught me that, you don't bring anyone in this life unless you can provide a better life than what I had. So, and I'm not for abortion or keeping a baby, but I would voice a lot of concerns to a 15-year-old being pregnant, because this, you know, how can you raise a life if you haven't even experienced life?
Yeah.
And that's probably my biggest concern. I think we have too many babies having babies without a strong support system. Because what I'm getting from everyone on this set is that, Nicole, your success laid on the foundation of the people you had around you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If it wasn't for grandma being in the household, if it wasn't for, her sticking on her own daughter, your mom saying, hey, you can't do this, or this is what is, or this what should or should not be done, then the outcome would have been totally different. You know what I'm saying? Different. Like, you wouldn't have been a person who graduated from the great Bowie State University, have a good job working in Metro, doing all the phenomenal things that you're doing if it wasn't for that support system. So that would be my biggest, thing that I would have to say to them. But what we're going to do next, I'm going to bring someone else on the set. And this person, he actually grew up with both his parents. And I want to talk about the comparison between having the two-parent household and then the teenage parent household.
Wonderful.
That's what we're going to do? Excellent. This is Tane's World. We'll be back with you in 1 second.
They be tripping up in the curry all
I know. He just went on her.
Right. I just remember little stuff like being at grandma's house, always a house full, cousins going in your room, sleeping on pallets,
Not pallets, though.
hot dogs and beans because there's so many people.
Right. You better eat them beans. I remember going to sleep at the table because grandma was like, you about to eat these lima beans or you can't go to sleep.
That's why I don't eat greens and string beans to this day.
Really?
Mom used to do that. She's like, yeah, you backing up from the table unless you eat them greens and string beans. I always said when I was old enough.
Many a night.
Like back in the day, like they used to be a little bit more lenient. Like you had friends, their mother sending them to the store to get cigarettes and stuff. And it's kind of crazy because you could tell those was the kids who had younger parents because realistically nobody in their good mind was sending a 7 or 8-year-old to the store to go get some cigarettes. But the people around the neighborhood, everybody know everybody, so they're not even calling you. They know it's for your mom.
Okay, give me 2 7s.
What's going on, young world? It's your boy DuaneMyko. We are having a phenomenal conversation so far. We're touching on so many important topics, and we're just giving some great information to the world. So I added one more person to the set because I want to talk about something. Lee, how's it going today?
Good, how you doing?
First of all, I want to say that what you did on the intro with that keyboard was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, that is a true gift that you have, and I just want to thank you so, so much. We were talking off set in our green room, and you were raised in a dual-parent household. Your parents were just a little bit older.
Yes.
And we know that the purpose of this conversation today is to talk about being raised by teenage parents. So what we wanted to do was do a comparison. We have Miss Nicole, we have Lee, both brought up in 2 totally different households. Talk about being raised in a dual-parent household and if you think there is a difference.
Personally, growing up in a 2-parent household, I did know that I was kind of like one of the only ones among my peers. So a lot of people had this perception of me that I had a better childhood, a better family life than them.
People thought you were the Cosmos or something like that.
Yeah, they thought, yeah, exactly. But, what I had always wanted people to know that, you might think that the grass is greener, but, it might, for example, I know kids who had 2 parents in their households who were abusive to them, So in that case, having 2 parents don't really help that much if your parents are making you feel miserable, So, I've always felt, for kids who had only one parent, it's not necessarily a death sentence, It really depends on who's raising you, Because I know people who've had 2 parents and a grandmother and aunts and uncles and all that, and they were still miserable. They still felt like they didn't have somebody that they can come to. So, it always seems like the grass is greener, but it's not always the case, Just because you have, one parent, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't be successful,
Nicole, how do you feel about that? You agree with everything he's saying?
From my point of view, my standpoint, like I said, I don't feel like it was all bad. Like, even the times that I did have to, okay, want to see my dad, I got to go with my dad this weekend. It didn't really bother me. It
Right.
really didn't.
Right.
So, and like he said, a lot of my peers were in a single family, you know, just one parent. So it wasn't abnormal. It wasn't like I was the black sheep.
Right. Right. So it sounds like pretty much what you're saying is that, you know, you are the master of your fate, you're the captain of your soul. You know what I mean? Like, we get to choose what really happens to us in life. Now, granted, the household is very, very important. And I mean, I know for me, you know, in my personal life, you know, I was raised in a dual family household until the age of about 16. And then my parents got separated. And, you know, things were great, but, you know, my mom gave as much love as possible. But then my parents got separated. And you know, it was my mom who has an illness. She's had lupus for the past 28 years. And it's 3 of us. So, I mean, I saw her juggle around a lot. So it's kind of like I got both in the same life.
Right.
You know what I mean? I got
Right.
the dual family at a very young age, but then at a later age in life, you know, it was my mom by herself, and it just seemed so difficult. Miss Jones, how do you feel about this? You know, as a professional, what type of advice can you give us on this?
I too grew up in a household until the age of 2 when my parents split. So I know it is hard to juggle between households. And I know that can be also traumatizing when you are in a home and you feel alone.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I said you need to identify who your supporters are and create a plan, you know, so
Right.
that you can make sure that you have what you need to just be successful.
Yeah, that's very good. Listen, man, I just want to say that I just appreciate everyone. And it seems like this has really come to a next episode that we really need to work on. You know what I'm saying? Talking about
Absolutely.
is the households.
Yeah.
You know, we need more dual family households. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone needs everyone. I mean, like the you know, like we need fathers and we need mothers. We need both. And I think that's something we're going to probably talk about in one of our near future episodes. But we're coming to the end of the show, but we'll also come to one of my favorite parts. So we have the talent of the week, we have the buzz of the week, and then we're going to close out. Lee, thank you so much. Miss Nicole, thank you so much.
No problem.
Miss Jones, you did an absolutely phenomenal job.
Thanks for
We thank
having
everyone for coming to the show today, and we really hope that we touch some child out there. Somebody, wherever you are, reach out to us. This is Teens World. We are the village that's going to help raise your family. This is your boy, DuaneMyko. We'll be back very soon. What's going on, young world? It's your boy, DuaneMyko, and we are back with Teens World. We've come to the end of our show where we get to do one of my most favorite things. This is our talent of the week, where we get to highlight some of the best, the most talented artists in the world. And today, we're going to close out our show with the phenomenal people who helped us bring it in. We got Mr. Lee on the keys and that phenomenal voice from Miss London Savoy. You guys take us home.
I keep on falling with you. Sometimes I love you, sometimes I feel good. At times I feel loving you, darling, makes me so confused. I keep on falling in and out of love with you. I never loved someone more than I love you. Oh, 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 never felt this way. How could you give me
Wow. So, Miss B, you got the buzz of the week this week. Tell us what's going on.
All right, so what I have for you today, guys, is first and foremost, R.I.P., rest in peace, Carrie Fisher. To all you Star Wars fans, we definitely send our condolences to you because she recently passed at the age of 60 due to a heart attack.
Now, hold on. Let's not forget about her mom, too. Rest in peace to her mom. Her mom has to pass away as well.
So that is the trending topic of the week because there, of course, is an abundance of Star Wars fans.
Hey.
Far as your fashion tip of the week, I would say find your color. Whatever your color is, find it and embrace it. Color is definitely going to be your favorite thing to go to as far as wardrobe when transitioning from the fall into the winter. And just to piggyback off today's topic, I don't care who you are, what your circumstances are. In life, you're going to be thrown curveballs. So today's word is just find your happiness. Whatever makes you happy, find that, find your purpose, and live through your purpose. Because need I remind you that our current president of the United States has been raised by a single parent.
That's phenomenal information. Listen, everybody, teenage pregnancy, we had a phenomenal conversation today. I want to thank everybody who came out. Mr. Lee on the keys, London with that voice was just so powerful. Yes. To Mrs. Jones as our life skills coach, counselor. To Miss Nicole, to you, Mrs. B, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. This is what I took away from everybody. Listen, you are the master of your fate. You are the captain of your soul. Sometimes you are put into a very unfortunate circumstance, but you have the option. It's all up to you. But we need this positive foundation, and that's what I want to see more. I want to see more parents, more fathers, more mothers, everybody working together, because with the correct foundation, we can accomplish anything in this world. It takes a village to raise a family, and that's what we're here about. This is Teen's World. This is D&D Media. I want to thank everybody so much. This is your boy, DuaneMyko. We'll see you guys next week.